that details how the Federal Reserve Bank came into existence. The boys that print your money, that's the real power. They got us killing each other over this. Selling out our future over this. Jews set up the communist camp. Jews set up democracy or capitalism. Do you really want democracy? Let me break it down and show you what it means. You want democracy? You got democracy. What is democracy? Let's break the word down. Democracy. You got it? D-E-M-O-C-A-R-C-R-A-C-Y. Pardon me. I only went to the 3rd grade. Democracy. That is an English word that has its root in Greek. So in order to understand the real meaning of democracy, you got to go to Greek. So the word demo comes from the Greek word demos. And krasi comes from the Greek root kratis, K-R-A-T-I-S. Demos, kratis. When you bring it up into Latin, it becomes demon, D-E-M-O-N, C-R-A-C-I, krasi. Then they drop the N and change the I to a Y, and you get democracy. Well, demos, kratis, and democracy means the rule not of the people, but the rule of the devil. Democracy. So when they say, we want democracy in Africa, we want the rule of the devil, not the rule of the people. They have never wanted the rule of the people. They want the rule of a few to subjugate the masses so that the few can live in luxury as bloodsuckers of the poor. Democracy. It's the only game in town now. Democracy. And like it's written, I think in the book of Jeremiah, Mr. Bush can say, as it's written there, I sit as a queen and shall see no sorrow. But God spoke and said, O virgin daughter of Babylon, come and sit thou down in the dust. See, Babylon was like that. She was a great city that dealt in commercial enterprise, and she waxed rich and strong, but in her midst were the Hebrews. The Hebrews that didn't belong to the Babylonians. They were taken out of their natural environment and brought into a strange land among strange people, taught a strange learning and a strange language, and given strange names. Until one day Daniel arose and saw the handwriting on the wall. And he told the wicked king that his kingdom had been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Oh, virgin daughter of Babylon. She wasn't just a daughter, she was a virgin. Boy, that's a description. You know, a virgin means untouched, unspotted. That's the way America sees herself. She's destroyed nations, but no nation has bombed her. Not one of America's cities has suffered what America has put on cities of nations around this world. You that visit America, you can fly from the East Coast to the West Coast. You see an unbroken string of marvelous cities and towns that have never known the ravages of war. Not from the outside. It only knew war in the Civil War, in the War of 1812. And those were wars, but not since America has been developed. In the modern context, the shock of the hour. Now, remember how I started the lecture? Talking about God in person? That's how we're going to end it. You see, if this is Israel, the real Israel, the hidden Israel, then if you look in the book of Revelations, you see a mystery Babylon that was like a golden chalice on the outside, but filth and abomination of every kind on the inside. Here's America, the melting pot, where you can walk the streets and hear so many different languages. It's like the Tower of Babel. And the people in America are confused and one against the other, and that confusion is waxing stronger every day. But she's still the only game in town. But in her midst is a whole people that didn't come on the Mayflower, that didn't come seeking freedom, but came in the holds of ships as slaves. The same Jewish people that say they're our friends were the principal architects of the slave trade. They were the principal beneficiaries of the slave trade. We have this documented, sisters and brothers, from their own scholarly writings, not from the mouth of Louis Farrakhan. They were the principal architects in distributing the slaves. They were the auctioneers that sold the slaves. They were the plantation owners that bought the slaves. They were the masters that worked the slaves. They were the ones that helped to rob us of our minds, of our names, our language, our culture, our religion, our God, so that today you know nothing of yourself because of your friends. It was Jews who fought against Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, Christophe. It was Jews who worked against Frederick Douglass, Jews who worked against Marcus Garvey, Jews that worked against Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Jews in the government, in the Justice Department, Jews that worked against the prophets of God.
Hey, you've just seen Mr. Louis Farrakhan there, Minister Louis Farrakhan, doing his thing there, being bold as ever. I like his talk on the subject of democracy. And it's interesting, you know, every time I think about something that I want to share, talk about that is bugging me and concerning me, I usually just come across a lot of information that confirms how I'm feeling. It's the first time I've heard this. It looks like it's an old video, but it's the first time I've come across it. I came across it 2 days ago, just at the time when I was contemplating having a talk on democracy. Some of you, I'm sure, those of you that follow me, you must have seen a video where I talked about how the young people in Africa are going to change Africa. And I also made a comment there that I see a situation in the future where governments are going to be shut down by these youth. Not just in Africa, because people are tired of what politicians are doing to humanity. All right? But I just want to make a few comments based on what this man has said. He's a man of a great reputation, and he's well researched. You heard him in his opening there talking about how you need to buy a book to understand certain things, how the financial systems came into being and things like that. And those are things that personally I'm looking into. And my findings, to be honest with you, so far, it's just shocking. And like he said, the Jews again are at the center of everything. In the future, I'm going to show you a video where a Jewish rabbi was bragging publicly on social media about how Jews are so few, but they control the whole world. And obviously the Jews we're talking about here is the Jews who claim that they are the Jews. All right? We don't have time to go into that history. We've touched on the subject here and there, and we'll continue to talk more about it. So Louis Farrakhan gives the meaning of democracy. And I don't even want to go into a debate or argument or back and forth in terms of whether he's accurate or not. I personally don't even care whether he's accurate or not, because at this stage of my life, I'm looking at democracy, especially in Africa, and I've been asking myself, what has democracy done for Africa? It has ruined Africa, if anything. It's done the exact opposite of what we all expected. And not just in Africa, but again, my focus here is again Africa. What has democracy done for Africa? I showed you clips again of, I think it was a conference on democracy that took place in China about 2-3 years ago, where one of the Zambian leaders spoke about democracy, and then also a former MP in the UK, George Galloway, agreed with him that democracy is not the way for Africa, that democracy is actually a cover-up, if you like. They didn't put it that way, but in a nutshell, that's exactly what they were saying, and that's exactly what Louis Farrakhan is saying. And I'm personally, in my own assessment, I'm thinking Africa doesn't need democracy. Some of you might be shocked to hear declarations like this, but think about it. Africa was a superpower where no one was poor, no one was a beggar. Only when it didn't have democracy. It was only a superpower and affluent when it was ruled by kings, chiefs, and elders. As soon as democracy came in, the rest is history. So these guys have been smart, and smart obviously in the negative sense. They built these systems. Again, I did a video months ago where I talked about systems, that if we can't control systems, we are nothing but slaves. These guys have instituted global systems that they make you think that those things are liberating you or taking you forward, but those things are designed to enslave you. And that's exactly what Louis Farrakhan is saying here. So I don't even want to argue or debate the meaning. Personally, I'm just looking at the results of democracy. And the results are not admirable, at least by me. Now, some of you, we don't even think about some of these things. The people that brought democracy to Africa, they're not even ruled by democracy. In Europe, there are 12 monarchs. 12, including the UK. The UK don't elect a king or queen. No, they don't. But in Africa, they insist that you keep changing these leaders. You keep spending money and energies, changing leaders, debating what is right, what is wrong, having all these unhealthy debates. A lot of these countries that we see, in Europe in particular, all those politicians you see arguing in parliament and things like that, those are just fronts. That's just drama. The real decisions are made by the queen or the king. America is the same. Those senators and representatives, they're not the ones that run America. They're figures behind the scene, and in future we'll talk about that. There's a group of an elite that make all the decisions, that move these politicians like pawns, that fund the politicians. But they give you those senators and representatives to show you that, oh, it's democracy that is working in America. It's not. So in Africa, they've given you this system of democracy, and then they are the ones that pull these leaders, play around with these leaders like pawns, but there's no democracy. It's just to blindfold people. So he made another comment, Louis Farrakhan made another comment, said that the Jews set up democracy and capitalism. And it's obvious. I grew up hearing these rumors about the Jews running the whole world, owning everything. And I used to think it was just fallacy. It was just fairy tales. But every book that I read to do research keeps confirming these things. Keeps confirming these things. And then again in the slave trade, in the transatlantic slave trade, it was the Jews. It was the Jews. The people who claim that they are the Jews. That was them. And as Louis Farrakhan said, they made sure Africans lost their identity, lost their languages, lost their cultures, so that today, black people, African people, know nothing about who they are. And in Louis Farrakhan's own words, because of our friends. They always come as your friends. The Bible warned us about wolves in sheep's clothing. What is sheep's clothing? White, huh? White. Yeah? So we'll be talking about these things a lot more. The last point there that he brought out was also very, very crucial. He confirmed that it was these same Jews who fought Marcus Garvey, who fought Frederick Douglass. All of these people were fighting for the dignity of black people. They fought them and destroyed them. The Jews were the principal architects of slavery and the beneficiaries. They owned plantations. And today in Africa, you have bishops, Pentecostal bishops, who support these same Jews, who say these are the chosen people of God. That's why Christianity has left me extremely disappointed. Something isn't right, but we'll keep talking about those things. I don't want to start offloading on Christianity right now. So, the Jews themselves, they fought Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X. Let me end there. The rest is yours. Send comments as usual. Let me hear from you. If there's any more information that you want to give or share with me, I'm more than delighted. I learned from you as well. Thanks for your time. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.